Hey, what's going on? Cookies here. So we're gonna go over the Shaman Mage Tower. I actually haven't completed it yet. This is just my best attempt. I get the boss down to about 20%. I'm gonna hopefully get it done today, but we'll see. But I know that most of the shamans I'm seeing talking about Mage Tower are struggling on phase one, or I guess stage one, I should say, which is all these ads. So I just wanted to get this video out since I am pretty much as close as you could possibly be to finishing it, so I might as well just talk about it and tell you how, I got to that point to where I'm making attempts on the last boss. Um, okay, so uh, first wave, you have these arbalists. They're going to shoot this blue arrow. You just need to make sure that a teammate gets hit by it or an NPC. And then you just insta dispel them. You also can get hit by it; it's totally fine, but you have to dispel yourself like the moment it hits you. So as soon as you get the debuff, you have to dispel. If it's on a like friendly NPC, you don't have to dispel it right away. But if it's on you, if you don't dispel it instantly, you pretty much lose all of your mana. And then for each of the waves, similar to my Paladin video, we have this is like what abilities or cooldowns I was using for each wave. It's mostly to deal with the mages, which I'll talk about in a second, and the soldiers. So this first wave, you use nothing. We're just killing it. Nothing special. So this is where I'll get hit by the arrow. I was testing if you could like LOS it on this little wall right here. But you can see there I get the debuff, and then you just need to insta dispel yourself. Because if you let it tick for more than like half a second, it's gonna drain all your mana. Okay, and then we have wave 2. So on wave 2, the only thing we're doing is just spam kicking. That's it. You also can stun totem during this wave if you want, because you don't use your stun totem again for another minute. So if you want to make this phase a little bit more free, you can stun totem the mage, which I believe I just did right there. Yeah. Same thing, we're just killing the mage first. So what the mages do is they cast Arcane Blitz, and it's going to do a huge amount of damage. You'll see Jared's HP right here, instantly down to like 20%. And then they get this stacking buff. If they get a cast off with this buff applied to themselves, they'll pretty much one-shot whoever they hit. It's very unlikely that the person survives if they have a stack of the buff. So you can purge it, which is really important. If you're going to let another cast go off, you have to purge this. But I have my interrupt up, so we should be able to just interrupt again, and then by the time it can cast again, it's going to be dead. So it's very important to do as much damage as you can to the mages, but also keep everybody in the group like pretty close to full HP, because if they get targeted by the mage, then they're just dead if they're not full. And then the way we're going to deal with wave 3 is we're going to use our Earth Elemental, and we're going to kick the third cast of the mage, not the first, and then we're going to Earth Grab after we kick. You can also bait where these arbalists jump to. You can see how they jump across the room. They always jump directly behind you, as far away as they can. So if you face yourself away from how like I'm faced away from the mobs that are gonna be spawning in the next wave, the arbalist will teleport to them so that I can kind of bait my NPC friendlies to be over here, so that when the next wave spawns, we're literally already right on top of the mobs. And also, just a small note, you can like pre-target these mobs. So if you wanted to say interrupt the mage instantly, then you could target him beforehand. But like here, I believe, yeah, I target him, and then we can just flame shock right off the bat and Earth Elemental. So again, we are, let me pull up the notepad, we are using Earth Ele, so there it is. I'm not going to kick until the third cast, and then we're going to Earth Grab Totem. Also for talents and stuff like that, you can see all that at the top left. That's the talents I'm running. Legendary doesn't matter, Soulbind doesn't matter, that's all unaffected in this. You can't use any of that stuff, so there's the first cast. And ideally you purge here. I didn't purge here, but it's because it's casting on my Earth Elemental, so it doesn't really matter. So I just let it do its thing, because if it hits the Earth Elemental, that's the whole point. That's why we're using the Earth Elemental here, so that it has a chance to hit the Earth Elemental. And a lot of the time, if the mage doesn't target you or your Earth Elemental at least once throughout all its casts that are going to happen in this phase, you're pretty much going to wipe. So it's kind of unlucky if that happens. So hopefully it has a pretty decent chance of targeting you or the Elemental. So there we kick the the third cast, and the reason we kick the third cast is because this knife dance is going off. This is what the soldiers do. They're going to, I'll rewind it a tiny bit. So they're going to cast Knife Dance and then channel for 5 seconds and deal damage to the entire group unless they're stunned to be interrupted. Because you can't regular interrupt it, so you have to use some kind of crowd control. But because we have such little amounts of CC, we have to save like our stun totem for the next wave. And we don't really have anything else that works to interrupt it. We can't use Hex on these creatures. So you kind of just have to out-heal this part. I have seen people run the Capacitator Totem stun talent. It's leaving my mind right now what it's called, but you can run that, and then it lets you stun every single wave, like 3, 4, and 5. So if you like that idea better to be able to like control these soldiers a little bit more, then feel free to do that. I just personally liked Earth Grab Totem to deal with kiting the soldiers, which is right here. So after it's done channeling the Knife Dance, it's going to put this little these eyes above you and have like a red line, and it's going to chase you. And I mean, it chases you. This thing runs so fast. So you want to use Earth Grab, and I should have Earth Grabbed sooner. And here I still there's my Earth Grab super late. And then you should be using Earthbind. You should be using Frost Shock, all of that stuff. And then what's going to matter from this point forward, from like wave 3, 4, and 5, is instead of focusing on doing damage to this thing, you really want to be focusing on keeping your group as full HP as possible. Because this is like what you want to avoid right here, right? Is this soldier dying and us moving into the next phase with everybody in the party like under half HP, because that's just super dangerous. But it is still workable if that's happening. So here we have wave 4, which is going to be, we're going to Lust. We're going to kick the very first cast that's going off. Then we're going to Stun Totem when these soldiers start casting. And then we're going to kick again. And then we'll use SLT or Ascendance or something if we need to like throughput heal through it. So here's the first cast. I kick it. And we're killing the Mage again because the Mage is the most important. We have Lust going. This is also Recompotion. I'm ready to Stun Totem, but there's something very important. You need to wait until the soldiers start casting before you drop your Stun Totem right there. Because if you stun them, say, when they're casting Knife Dance like this, if they were to be stunned right now, as soon as that stun ends, they're just going to recast the ability. So you have to wait until they finish this cast and then stun them. So now they're channeling the ability and doing damage to everyone. Now you need to stun them, because then it actually interrupts the ability. So that's why I wait to drop my totem until they start casting. And then here's the Earth Grab again. Could have done that a little bit sooner. Pretty much as soon as you stun them, you can safely Earth Grab. And then what needs to happen here, this is the part that a lot of people struggle on. So we have the Mage dead. The idea is the Mage should die by the time that the stun's over or shortly after, like without getting any more cast off. Like there, I think he got 1 extra cast off. And I believe, let's see. Yeah, I did have my interrupt up, so I could have interrupted like at this very last second when, like right here, I could have interrupted, but I just got preoccupied with these guys. That's why I want to drop Earth Grab a little bit sooner. So depending on the timing, you can get this last interrupt if it is going off. And then what's going to happen here is all your NPCs are going to fixate on one of the soldiers, right? So you'll see one soldier start taking a lot of damage and the other one's still full HP. You need to make sure that you apply Flame Shock and do damage to this soldier. And like, it's very important to do as much damage as possible here. So you can see that if I rewind just a tiny bit, when they start fixating me, I use my Spirit Walker's Grace once I get a little bit away. And we're going to start focusing that ad that my NPCs are focusing. So there I flame shock, I'm lava bursting, I'm using everything I can, I'm picking myself back up, and then we're immediately going back to damage. And here they fixate again. This time you don't have an Earth Grab totem, so you need to use things like Earthbind, Frost Shock, and Ghost Wolf and stuff like that to get away. You can kite by just spamming Frost Shock, but just make sure you're safe because... But the main thing is, see, like right here, when these fixates end, the second round of fixates, and sometimes it can change, they can do weird random stuff, so it's not always the same, but they'll do a knife dance by this time, so that's why you want to have one of them dead, because again, we can't stun this knife dance, we have nothing to stop it, so if they both are casting knife dance, the group's just dead. There's almost no way to out heal something like that. And then I still haven't used SLT or Ascendance like was on the plan, but I believe that's okay because we can use it for this last phase. And what I'll usually do, at least on most of my attempts, I don't know if I did it on this one, but I'll Ascendance like right here when we're getting close to having the soldier dead, just to help like top off the group and be ready for the very last wave, which is actually easier than this wave. And then for the very last wave, we're kicking the third cast that happens, and then we are using Ascendance and whatever. We're literally using everything else we have left in our toolkit. Defensive, Ascendance, Spirit Link, all that stuff. So there's the Ascendance. We go into this. There's the second cast. This one I kicked the second cast. I did write down that I was kicking the third. But if you make small mistakes like that, it is recoverable. It just is less ideal. You want to let 2 casts go off because, again, the soldier is going to cast Knife Dance right here. So if I kick too soon, the mage is now going to cast during that Knife Dance. Oh, that's what ended up happening. I remember now. So this 4th wave takes long enough. I remember why I changed it up. I just didn't edit the notepad. Okay, so on this last wave, you actually... It's okay to kick that second cast. You can even kick the first if you wanted to. Because what happens is your stun totem, if you don't... So this... Sorry, I have to just rewind it a tiny bit. So this last soldier that's alive... Again, remember what I said earlier where we want to focus on keeping our group alive rather than doing damage to these soldiers, except for when there's those two. You want to kill the first one really fast. This second soldier, you almost want to do no damage to it yourself. You want to mostly just heal your group because you can see my stun totem still on cooldown. If we push the phase, we don't have stun totem. But if we just wait and try to do as little damage as possible, our stun totem will come back off cooldown, and then we can use it for this last wave also, which is super beneficial. So, instead of kick third cast, we'll put on here, we'll put kick first or second cast. And then stun totem. And everything else. Sorry if my keyboard's super loud. I don't think I've typed on like a video before, so hopefully that wasn't too obnoxious. Alright. So we go in here, we kick the second cast, and then we're getting ready to drop that stun totem. There's the Knife Dance. We drop the stun totem. It interrupts the next cast and the Knife Dance. And now we just need to get this mage down, and then our kick comes back off cooldown. Again, I could have kicked right there. So it's the same thing where like after that stun, we have our kick available again, so we want to make sure we use it. Here we have those blue. This is just the only difference that happens in this phase is that we have the blue arrows on us. So we just need to be aware of those. Again, we can let ourselves get hit here and just insta-dispel ourselves, which would have been like the safer option if I just went and stood like way over here and then just dispelled myself instantly rather than like baiting it over here because of the fixate. But if you do end up baiting it, just make sure you also dispel whoever gets hit. So there, Granny gets hit, dispel. And then we have the fixate here. And we're literally just keeping the group alive. The NPCs will do all the damage that you need them to do in this phase, so you don't need to worry about killing the mob. You just need to like outlive it and just heal through it. And as soon as you make it to where it's just the Arbalest left, you've passed the first phase. And then that is the whole entire first stage. Okay, so next up we're moving into stage 2. You have a 5-minute timer from the moment you start till you reach the top of the stairs and kill the mini boss and get to the final stage. But honestly, do not worry about the timer whatsoever. Like you have so much free time, so just take your time and just focus on what's going on. And this part's honestly very, very easy. So the first thing is we're gonna have these flickering eyes. They pulse for AoE damage around themselves, so you can't get close to them. And then every time you kill one of them, you're gonna take a significant amount of your HP and damage, like close to 60 to 70%. The reason I didn't take very much from that first one is because of my passive. So make sure that you're pretty much full healing yourself before you kill every single eye. So here I'm healing Surge, I throw a Riptide on myself. You can use Stun Totem and stuff, but honestly I feel like that was kind of a waste, like it didn't really do anything. They move so slow anyways, and then you kind of just work in whatever order you want, but I just went in kind of like a clockwise, you know, order of killing them one at a time and just like slowly moving around the room. So just make sure you're full health, kill them one at a time. It's pretty straightforward. And then we will move on to the next room once those are all dead. This guy, by the time I got to him, my Earth Elemental was back off cooldown. Most of my cooldowns were coming back off, so I just used Earth Ele here. Stun Totem would probably be better used here, honestly, but if you have Earth Ellie, it kind of just tanks it the entire time and they don't really do anything. So this mob almost does nothing. Just Chain Lightning the Felbat pups until they're gone, and then just single target the Dominator until it's dead. And they don't really do anything else. They don't have any kind of mechanics, and they don't do high damage or anything, even if you can't use Earth Ellie. And then this next part, as soon as you open the gate, you're gonna see this guy running down the stairs. You want to dispel this. Like, I should have dispelled here, but I think my Earth Ellie is in the way or something. But always dispel this guy first, and then you heal these guys on the side. So you can see these 3 mobs on the side that are on fire. You just want to heal them. The Earth Elemental can get super obnoxious and get in the way of stuff, so I usually attack the mob at the top of the stairs first. So I'll heal like this first one, and then these ones on the top, the Earth Ellie likes to get in the way, so I'll just attack this guy, just Flame Shock him, and then heal the mobs. And you can see even there, the Earth Ellie ran in the way. And you just have to heal them within a certain time frame, otherwise they turn into aggressive mobs. I believe they turn into the soldiers from outside, which is pretty deadly. Your Earth Ellie will tank the mana stings here, but if they're gonna hit you, like if you don't have stun or anything, because I would honestly just save your stun totem for the next room. But if you're gonna get hit like here, I'm gonna get hit, you just instantly dispel yourself. So just be ready to dispel yourself when the cast finishes, and there's nothing else really to it. And then this is where we should be at about like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. By the time you reach the top of the stairs here on this next part, like once you start fighting the mini boss, you want to at least have like 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and then you have more than enough time. Here I drop Stun Totem, get rid of all these orbs because they're in really bad spots. And then I usually just run up the left, Frost Shock any that I see that are in the way, get really close to the gate, open it. And then this next room is just a mini boss with these flickering eyes again. So there's 3 flickering eyes, and then the boss is going to be casting Mind Spike occasionally. So what's going to happen, the only dangerous thing in this entire room is if you get Mind Spiked and kill an eye at the same time. That's the only time where it's like, it can get a little bit sketchy. But even then, like there I have Spirit Link down, so I have a nice damage reduction. You can use defensive. You can even use like Ascendance and stuff here for free to use it. It just means that you're going to have to wait to go to the last boss room. So I usually just save that stuff. And then you're just DPSing. And then these other eyes that spawn with like the lasers and they spin around in circles, you can kind of ignore them. You can stand in them and tank them. I was just moving out of them and using like Frost Shock or Flame Shock whenever I was doing that, since it's kind of free anyways. The only time you don't really want to tank them is when you're killing all the eyes around the room. The flickering eyes, you want to make sure that, because they do a little bit of damage as they pass through you, so, but it's really not that much. And then, like you can see here, I had about 2 minutes and 10 seconds when I came up here, and I still have a minute left to kill him, so again, you have plenty of time. And then he's gonna die, and then we're gonna move to the last phase. I believe I switch a talent. Which talent do I switch? I think I don't switch it until I go in the boss room, because I forgot. Did I switch a talent? Maybe I don't. Yeah, definitely. Okay, I already switched. I don't know where I switched. Here it is. So you want to just switch off Earth Grab into Spirit Wolf, because Spirit Wolf will be hugely beneficial. And then also make sure you have Earthen Wall for this next phase, because it's also very nice. And besides that, I don't think much of the other talents really matter. Unleashed Life might honestly be a better choice, but I haven't played around with it too much yet, but I have been seeing other people running it who have been successful in here. Okay, so the last stage. So what is going to happen here is, in the first phase of this stage, the NPCs that you have are going to start fighting each other and doing a little bit of damage to each other, so just keep Healing Rain down, put a Cloudburst down, keep Riptide on them. It's pretty straightforward. And then these mobs right here, if you time the Cloudburst, I timed it to where like the Cloudburst will hit these mobs when they spawn, which is really nice because it'll just like full heal all of them instantly. It's really easy. But even if you don't have Cloudburst, this part's really, really simple. So there's a couple things. So there's these green lines, and you have these mobs, and they need to be healed before they reach the boss. The trick is some of the mobs are behind this wall, And whenever the mobs are behind this wall, for some reason it won't let me use... Oh, there we go. Some of the mobs are behind this wall. Some of them are... Oh, that one was bad. Some of them are in front. So here, you can see this mob. You can't really see his feet, but his feet are like right here. So he's in front of the line. This one's behind the line. So when they pass this line, they actually have to kind of get to the bottom of the stairs here. But you can tell by the barrier here when they pass over it. So whichever one passes over first is going to be able to be healed first, because they're actually closer to the boss than the other ones. Like, the lines aren't all the same distance. So you want to try to pay attention to which one's closest, because you want to heal that one first, because they're not targetable until they get to like this staircase right here. So just be mindful of that and don't sit there and wait for, you know, one of them to pass through when the other ones could be healed this whole time. But again, it really isn't a huge deal, because you just kind of like healing surge and riptide them, and then you're done. I will say definitely be mindful of your mana here, or be ready to drink a mana potion when this phase is getting close to finish, because you're gonna want a lot of mana for the last phase. That's why I wiped here, is because I believe I ran out of mana. And you don't get any other chances to drink, so there, I'm just healing surge, healing wave, and then I believe I drink a mana pot here soon. I don't remember. And then, so you're gonna get three sets of these ads that you have to heal through. There, I'm dropping the Cloud Burst for the next set. And for this very last set here, this third set, you only have to heal 2 of them up. So just focus on healing 2 of them, ignore the last one. So there, I'm healing the second one, and almost let the NPC die. Definitely don't let that happen. And then here we go into the last phase. Okay, maybe I don't drink a mana potion here. That's exactly why. So you want to go into this with like as close to 100% mana as possible. And I go in with 50, which is really bad. So as soon as you get into this phase, man, I remember how much of this was so bad. Now I remember all of it. So I lust here, and my lust still had 10 seconds on sated. So I did not get lust. My NPCs did, but I did not get lust. I drop Earth Ellie. I don't know if it was Earth Ellie that caused it, but one attempt that I did, I dropped Earth Ellie right away, and then he jumped on me and didn't spawn a green zone on the floor, so it was just an instant wipe. So, because you need the green zone on the floor in order for this next mechanic, which I'm going to explain in a second. So maybe wait a second before you drop a Earth Ellie, because I don't know what caused it, but he did not drop a green swirl on the floor like the previous attempt to this. Okay, so there's 2 major mechanics in this last fight. He's going to jump on you and spawn these green zones, so you want to try to stay towards the edge of the room, and you want to try to hug the outsides of the zones. So like the next best spot to stand would be somewhere like right here. And then the other mechanic is you get this debuff. You can either tell from your frames, or you just have this giant purple thing above your head. You're the only person who ever gets it. And what happens is when it expires, so in 8 seconds when this debuff expires, I'm going to do damage to everybody in my party besides myself, depending on how high my HP is. So the higher HP I am, the more damage that my party takes. So you have to intentionally get yourself to low HP without dying. And what gets tricky about this is it's not scripted in any way. So it can be really random on when the boss jumps on you and does damage and drops another green puddle on you. So you have to find this balance of like 30 to 40% health, and you do that by dipping into the green puddle and taking damage. So you can see here I dipped into the green puddle a little bit, doing a little bit of damage, and then what's going to happen is it's going to detonate. You'll see the party take damage, but see, like right there, like if I was any lower HP, I would have just insta-died. So you have to be very mindful of your HP, because sometimes the boss will jump on you while the debuff is on you. Sometimes the boss will jump on you after the debuff expires, which is more ideal. Sometimes he'll jump on you as it's expiring. Sometimes he'll jump on you as he applies it to you. It's like all over the place and really random. So you just have to adapt really well to it. Here I heal the group up to full. And that's definitely the other thing, is like Jared's gonna be taking a ton of damage, so make sure you keep Earth Shield on him and stuff. Here I get the debuff again. And then this is where Ghost Wolf comes into play with the Spirit Wolf talent. So keep your group full HP so that when these happens, when these like debuffs go out on you, you can just sit and Ghost Wolf the entire time to get a really big damage reduction stack. Like right now I have 20% damage reduction, so then I can just tank the next leap that goes on me. Like even here, I honestly could dip my health a little bit lower and be totally safe. Because like right there you can see I'm like 30% health or 40% health, and Jared almost just got like one shot from it. So it's really scary like how much damage the NPCs take. And there I actually jump out of Ghost Wolf, which is not what you want to be doing. You want to sit in Ghost Wolf even after the detonation. You want to wait until the boss jumps on you. So what I should do is wait till the boss jumps and then get out of Ghost Wolf right there, because then I'll take so much less damage. Also be very mindful of Spirit Link. I wiped myself one time. I wiped out like the group one time because I pressed Spirit Link on me while I had the debuff, and then it picked me up to like 70% HP with all my teammates, and then they got one shot. So here I pop defensive. I dip in, get as low as I can. Boss gonna jump on me right after, so I riptide myself, and then you're just slowly working your way around the room, standing at the edge of these circles. Again, you can even do better by like standing at the very, very edge of the room. And you can also, if you're nice and healthy, you can dip into the green puddles and just have him drop them in the previous green puddle to save more space, because you will run out of space very, very fast. There, I'm standing in it for a little bit too long because he's gonna jump on me again before he applies another debuff, or as he applies it to me. And here, Jared, this is where like things are getting a little more uncomfortable because I'm letting the NPCs take too much damage. I haven't been reapplying Earth Shield on Jared, so we're just honestly taking way too much. And there I prioritized healing myself, even though Jared's like way lower HP than me. There's where I try to get the potion off, but this is like already way too late. But yeah, you can see how much mana I have, so definitely prioritize healing wave when you can. And then here's where we're just gonna wipe because Jared's like super low HP. I think I survived for a little bit longer. And then just at least reapply a Flame Shock and use Lava Burst Surge, like Lava Surge procs as much as you can. And then you should have it down. But that's the whole encounter. Hopefully you can see where I made mistakes and improve on the last boss fight. But really what I'm seeing is people are struggling the most on the first stage. And then getting to the boss is pretty straightforward, and doing the boss itself is just a matter of practice. So hopefully that helps you get through the first stage so that you can get some attempts on the boss. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Have a good one.